Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. I'm joined by Jim Lee and Deb Hartley from Utah Prudential Real Estate, and we're going to talk about homes.
Thanks,
but first of all, how was your Independence Day?
The best. Awesome.
Yeah?
Great. Even without fireworks, hey, it was a great day. Yeah. Great parade.
Make your own fireworks. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
4th of July like that. Well, that's awesome. Well, speaking of fireworks, are there fireworks in the industry of real estate right now? Are there things going on? Is it popping?
There are lots of things going on. There are lots of buyers in the market. But generally speaking, prices are not going up. We still see them soft and probably bouncing along the bottom for the next maybe even 12 to 18 months. We'll see what happens after the election.
So what is that? What would you call it? Is that a buyer's market then, or is it a seller's market?
It's definitely a buyer's market.
A buyer's, but maybe not quite as great a buyer's market as it was before.
Right.
Where we're firming up a little bit, so we're kind of bouncing.
Yeah. Starting to go up a little. So it's not Donald Trump time anymore. It's not the time to buy a bunch of stuff and become rich.
It is actually the time to buy a lot of stuff. Yeah. Exactly right. So we're bouncing along the bottom, but I would say the low-lying fruit, the very bottom deals, those have probably been absorbed already.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, certainly people take advantage of that early on. I mean, the people who are doing that are typally well aware of this long before it got to where we are.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So nobody rings a bell when we hit the bottom.
Right. But people are watching. There's those fishermen out there that have a really good idea.
I think that's why there are more buyers at the market. They're probably tired of sitting on the fence, wondering and waiting. And even if prices drop 3 to 5% still, they're still where they were, probably 10, 12 years ago.
They won't get hurt.
Right.
Exactly. Well, that leads to the questions of, what is available up here in Park City. And you said to me off air that really there's nobody who's left out right now. There's a place for everybody up here.
Absolutely. No matter what you're looking for, we can help you find something. The market is not just for the upper end only. There are homes in just about every price range. There's something to buy in just about every price range.
Oh, that's terrific. I've often thought about getting a second place, and this may be the opportune time to do something like that, right?
Okay, interest rates won't remain this low forever, and neither will prices remain this low forever. So it's kind of a perfect storm right now. If you're looking to buy, jump in, and I think that's what a lot of buyers are also considering right now as well.
Right. So it's a good time to, even if it's not a second place, it's a good time to upgrade at the very least. That's something you definitely would want to do right now.
We're seeing a lot of transition. We're seeing a lot of buyers move out of one area into another. If the children have grown, they're downsizing. If they're moving here from out of state with family, they're buying a larger home. We're seeing lots of...
So people are upgrading and downscaling.
Downsizing,
yeah,
right?
That's
both,
odd,
it's going both
yeah.
ways.
So,
well,
so that's where the increased movement and activity in the market, and whereas a couple of years ago we didn't even have that, and now there's much of that going on.
I suppose that happens in the peaks and valleys, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where things sort of they harden up and get a little, they change a little.
There's not the crazy frenzy that there was several years ago. Gotta buy, gotta buy, gotta buy. It's there's lots of choices out there. There's inventory out there, and there's some deals still to be had.
Well, and interest rates, as I understand it, are going to stay pretty much right where they are for a while, is what we expect, about at least through the remainder of the election, probably.
That's it. The election's probably the key word this year.
And we're spoiled by these interest rates.
Right.
Think about it.
Oh, I mean, it's unreal. I kind of
of
feel bad about the times where somebody said to me, "Hey, it's down to 6%. You need to readjust," and I did. And gosh, I wish I'd waited a little longer, but there was no way to see the bottom.
So even if it goes up a little, we're still under 6.
Right. And I guess the point being is that on an election year we tend to have a real big huge rebound right after the election, or right as we're moving into the election.
Right.
When it starts to look like maybe there's a winner and we kind of have an idea who might get there. There's a huge rebound, and that's when once things start kind of shaking up and moving, that it does sort of create a little bit of a kind of a mini frenzy, I guess, right? This is sort of we're in a sort of a shoulder season, kind of heading into something that might be looked at as a season.
Park City is kind of an anomaly in that respect, in that we are a resort community, so people are attracted to us for different reasons, whether it's our schools, our small town size, the romance of having
or just the recreation.
Or just the recreation, exactly. The romance of having a second home in this really wonderful community.
But you're right about the election. A lot of people tend to use that almost as an excuse to wait.
Yeah.
Because of the unknown factor, like the day after the election, you know, we're not going to know a whole lot more.
Right. Yeah, it's not
Right.
even as if by the end of the year anything's really going to change. I mean, I remember it was kind of funny watching Obama as he, you know, started blogging immediately after he won, you know, and talking about how much he was doing. He's already working. He's already in an office.
Right.
Things are happening, and then he got in office, and all of a sudden that just came to a screeching
halt. Exactly.
And you know, everybody was a little, you know, it was hard to not be disappointed with that immediate thing. And I guess that's the whole point, is that really not a whole lot's going to, I mean, we're kind of status quo for a little while.
For a little, hopefully we are.
Yeah. But once things do start to move, I mean, we expect a pretty significant shift, right?
I would hope not. I hope it moves slowly.
Yeah.
I would hope it moves slowly, because as properties sell and as we, you know, run out of inventory and buyers are starting to look, that's, I think, the precursor to prices going up. And when prices start going up, the appraisals aren't going to be able to support it, because there's no history for that. So I hope they don't, you know, go from here to here.
Well, how is inventory? I guess that's a good question, because I've heard a lot of different things. I mean, as a nation, I've heard the inventory is sort of, you know, that it's pretty wide. But I hear in Utah that we kind of, inventory, at least on the lower end of things, has started to kind of stall out a little bit. There's not as much.
Yeah, there's a couple voids in the market in the
Right.
lower end of primary homes.
Right.
There aren't as many available.
Because there
right
were a
now.
lot of advantages to buying a couple years ago, so those have been taken out.
And
Right?
there still are, but the key to the inventory is the good stuff sells.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're waiting for it to get lower and lower, well, you're not going to have as good a choice, a greater choice.
Waiting is never. It seems waiting is never a good thing. It's buy when it's right for you.
Well, and
it
as
not
I
the
said,
case?
Sure.
we're not going to know we're out of this until afterwards, and then we'll look back and
Right.
say, oh, I should have. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Well, let's talk about how people get to that point of finding the home they're going to buy. What is the typical? You know, how do people get to that to finding their home?
Well, typically what we find is just about every buyer we have worked with in the last several years is they're all searching on the internet.
Right.
Whether it's on an individual, like Jim's and my personal website, whether they're looking on Realtor.com, one of the national websites out there, they're up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning looking for real estate
Right.
in the area in which they want to live. So internet has played a huge role in our industry. However, it has not removed the realtor from the process.
No, absolutely. It seems that, you know, yeah, you can certainly look and find some things, but knowing if that is the right place for you, especially if you're coming from somewhere else,
That's a great
is a huge
concept,
perspective.
because they find a great house, but they have no concept of perhaps the location.
Right.
And it's not where they were hoping to be. And hence the price is lower than they
I'm one of those people who found my own home, and I apparently the mistake I made, and I had a realtor at the time. I just was disappointed with, you know, I'm like, could we move this along, you know? And I kind of got to looking on my own, and I found what I thought was the dream house. What I didn't know is it was, you know, 5 blocks from the magic line where that house is $30,000 more for the
Right.
exact same house.
Right.
And so I didn't know that, and that's a risk you take when you don't involve somebody who does kind of have the idea of
Right.
where those lines of demarcation are.
Well, the realtor is really important in the process, because not only will they help you negotiate and, you know, but they know the market, they know where that demarcation line is, they know the school system, they know what's going on in specific HOAs. They really are your guide to making that a successful buy.
Right.
Or
And-
sell, for that
And on
matter.
that internet, you not only don't have a feel perhaps for the location, but you see the photos, but the photos don't create the
You don't see the
environment. that you-
neighborhood, right?
Well, not just the neighborhood,
Other
but when
than
you're in
that.
the living room, it may feel a lot smaller when you're standing in it than
Right.
it
Oh,
did
yeah.
looked in the picture.
Well, I'm a photographer, and photographs can be
very
that's a very
deceiving.
tricky part
Yes.
about shooting a home, is making it look big.
Yeah.
Put that little bed in that little room, and all of a sudden that room looks really nice.
Exactly.
Then all of a sudden you realize your kids don't have enough room for their toys.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well,
right.
where is your website so people can find you guys and start seeking in the right place?
The best way to find us is at leehartley.com.
Okay.
We're a great source there. It's got the community calendar. You can search the MLS through our site. We have a wonderful blog that just keeps people up to date what's going on. So that's a
And you
great
can
place
search
to
the
start.
whole MLS system through our.
And if someone is thinking about selling a home, what should they do before they call you? Is there a procedure, or do they just give you a phone call?
The best thing to do is engage with a realtor first, whether it's Jim and I or their local friend, their local realtor friend. Engage with us first.
Yeah.
It's really tough in today's market to do for sale by owner.
Yeah.
You got to be on the MLS. You got to have somebody working on your behalf.
Right.
So,
You've got to have a way of posting online, because that's
On
where they're
the
finding
internet.
it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you're not doing that on your own, typically.
Exactly.
Typically.
Right?
And maybe you're doing it on your own with your own website, but that's just one website, and you're not getting greater exposure nationally. As
Which
Deb
means
was
you're going to
suggesting.
lose a lot of value,
Right.
Yeah.
almost
Right.
inevitably. All right.
Exposure.
So where is your office located? Because I haven't been there yet.
Well, you should come see us.
Yeah, I definitely will.
We're at 2200 Park Avenue.
Okay.
Right by the post office is
Right.
Intertown.
Oh,
Yep.
excellent.
Yep.
Well, guys, thanks so much for
Okay.
being on. I'm
Thank
looking
you so
forward
much.
to delving into some more of this next
You bet.
time. But
We'll look forward to it.
fun talking about the basics right now.
Thank you so much, Joe.
All right. We'll be back after these messages. Don't go anywhere.